teenage girl becomes Pope's mistress. Her son becomes the next Pope. A woman murders a pontiff in his bed. For 100 years, 3 women with no official power ruled the Vatican through seduction, murder, and financial genius. The Church spent 1,000 years burying this history. Today, we unearth it. I understand your shock. Few scandals match the audacity of the women who conquered Christianity. Rome, 904 AD. 15-year-old Marozia enters Pope Sergius III's private chambers. Within months, she controls papal decisions. Within a year, she bears his child in secret. This wasn't random teenage seduction. Marozia's mother, Theodora, a Roman noblewoman with connections to every powerful family in Italy, orchestrated the entire affair. The plan? Create the ultimate dynasty, one that controlled the church itself. Marozia's beauty became legendary. Contemporary accounts describe eyes that could command bishops to sin, but her true power lay in political genius. She meticulously documented her son's papal paternity while keeping it hidden from public knowledge. When Sergius III died, Marozia simply adapted. She married the military commander Alberic I, gaining armed force. When he died, she wed Guy of Tuscany, Italy's most powerful warlord. Each marriage multiplied her influence. Opposition meant death. When Pope John X challenged her family's growing control, the Pope was seized, imprisoned, and suffocated with a pillow. The first pontiff murdered to protect a mistress's power. By the year 928, her control became absolute. 3 consecutive popes rose to power solely through her approval. Bishops trembled before her. One chronicler wrote simply, "Rome has 2 rulers, the Pope in name, Marozia in reality." Then came her masterpiece. In 931, she orchestrated the election of Pope John XI. This new pope was her own son, conceived in her teenage affair with Pope Sergius III. The mother of a pope, the former mistress of a pope, the power behind 3 other popes, Marozia had created an unprecedented dynasty. Church historian Liutprand of Cremona called her Venus in all but divinity, as powerful as a goddess. Who could possibly stop a woman who had conquered the unconquerable? The answer would shock even Marozia herself. Yes, the connections are undeniable. Church historians tried to erase these bloodlines, but contemporary records preserved the truth. Marozia's downfall came from where she least expected, her own blood. During a Roman banquet in 932, her son from another marriage, Alberic II, publicly attacked her new husband. Historical accounts detail the violent chaos, nobles drawing swords, and Marozia screaming as her own son dragged her to prison. Marozia died in obscurity, a final, cruel twist for the woman who once ruled God's kingdom on earth. The first papal dynasty collapsed, but the template was established. Alberic II kept his half-brother Pope John XI under house arrest, controlling the papacy from behind the throne. When Alberic II died in 954, he forced Roman nobles to swear a blood oath. They would elect his teenage son as the next pope. This youth became Pope John XII, arguably history's most depraved pontiff. Under John XII, the Vatican transformed into what Bishop Liutprand called a brothel rather than a church. The power vacuum created opportunity for the next female mastermind, Theodora the Younger, Marozia's sister. Roman chroniclers wrote with horror how Theodora could turn priests into puppets with a single night's pleasure. But the most effective female power broker was yet to emerge. Enter Pope Boniface VII. So corrupt, contemporaries called him Malefacious. Behind his bloody reign stood a woman known only as Stephania, who was both his chief advisor and mistress. Their partnership perfected corruption. Church offices were openly auctioned. Rivals were poisoned at papal banquets. Stephania innovated beyond her predecessors. She instituted a sophisticated system where every church appointed had a price. She was receiving petitioners in her chambers, naming her fee, and guaranteeing results through her intimate papal access. These women shared one revolutionary weapon that enabled them to dominate an institution explicitly designed to exclude female authority. What secret weapon allowed mistresses to rule God's kingdom on earth? Your instincts are correct. Follow the money, and you'll find the true source of their extraordinary power. They weaponized the one resource even God's representative couldn't create: money. The 10th century church faced economic collapse. Papal territories produced minimal revenue. Traditional donations had vanished. The Vatican couldn't pay its guards, maintain its buildings, or fund basic operations. Marozia controlled vast agricultural estates that fed Rome itself. Her strategic brilliance became apparent as she positioned herself as the Vatican's essential supplier. One chronicler wrote, "The Pope speaks for God, but eats only if Marozia permits." Bishops who opposed her found their food supplies mysteriously interrupted. Allies received abundant provisions. Even papal guards depended on her for payment, creating divided loyalties that she expertly exploited. Theodora mastered property manipulation. Records show her acquiring land surrounding church holdings, creating choke points where papal expansion required her approval. Most devastating was her intelligence network funded through these properties. She employed servants in every noble house and monastery. Secrets became her ultimate currency. Stephania's genius lay in monetizing church authority itself. She standardized prices for every position: 1,000 silver pieces for a bishopric, 500 for an abbacy. Her innovation, creating the first papal banking system, she extended credit to the Vatican, managed its debts, and controlled the cash flow. When Emperor Otto II needed funds for his military campaigns, he approached Stephania, not the Pope, for financing. The women dominated because they recognized the fundamental truth: divine authority requires economic foundation. God's representatives needed to eat. Their century of control ended around 1012 when German Emperor Henry II marched on Rome, allying with the Crescenti family. Together, they installed reform-minded Pope Benedict VIII. The new Pope immediately attacked the mistress's financial systems. He centralized treasury functions, banned selling offices, and reclaimed church properties. Most significantly, he implemented a rule with profound implications. Women were permanently banned from papal administrative buildings. The church had finally identified its vulnerability, and the extraordinary women who had exploited it for nearly a century. Precisely. When their financial power collapsed, so did the control of the papacy. The Vatican's dark century exposes how 3 women, officially powerless in medieval society, controlled Christianity's most powerful institution through financial genius and political manipulation. And though the church buried this history, enough evidence survived to reveal this extraordinary chapter. The Vatican's modern financial institutions and strict gender segregation stand as lasting monuments to the century when mistresses ruled the kingdom of God. Some chapters of history remain uncomfortable even 1,000 years later.